listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome to the GM Shuffle. We are presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I am Geoff Schwartz, 8 years National Football League. That is Marty Hurney, 30 years NFL front offices, and this is a great week, everyone. It is draft week. The draft is here. All the speculation, all the talk, all the measurables will come down to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as the NFL draft. All 7 rounds happen. Then, we have undrafted free agents will sign Saturday after this process is over. Today is our mock draft. We've talked about it for weeks now. We're going to do it. We're going to do first 16 picks of the draft. The next 16 picks of the draft on Wednesday. We got 2 shows this week. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube to get notifications for our shows, to watch our shows, to listen to our shows, to go back and see, Marty, if we got the mock drafts correct, because we're going to nail it. We'll get 32 for 32. I know this podcast can do it. I think if you get like 7 right, you get an award. But we're going to go for 32. Before we get into the draft, Marty, there is NFL news. The Giants traded Dexter Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, to the Bengals. A very simple trade. The 10th draft pick goes to the New York Giants. Dexter Lawrence goes to the Bengals. That's it. That's the trade. Nothing else. The simplest trade in NFL history. Dexter Lawrence gets a 1-year extension on his current contract, Marty. I'll let you go first here. Thoughts on the trade for the nose tackle of the Giants to the Bengals?
I think it makes sense for both sides because of where both organizations are at. For Cincinnati, this was Joe Burrow's on-the-clock move, right? I mean, it'd be great to stick at 10 and get a great rookie, the defensive lineman or linebacker, but they want to take advantage of Joe Burrow's talents very, very quickly here. And so they got a step-in player that come in and clog up the middle. He can rush the passer. I thought it was a good move for the Bengals and for Harbaugh and the Giants. I think this he's coming in. He wants to construct his own team. It gives him salary cap room to do things with players that are on his team, and it gives him the next draft pick in the top 10 of the first round. So I thought this truly was a win-win for each team.
So I have a question from just to start from the Giants' perspective and move it along to the Bengals. Okay, so if you're John Harbaugh, you just get there. And we know John Harbaugh's in charge, right? Not Joe Shane as much as it's just Harbaugh's in charge.
John Harbaugh.
And so let's say you're in the situation. You get to whatever team you're at, and a player you don't know, Dexter Lawrence, says, hey, man, I want more money. How difficult is that for you without having that relationship with him? Like I've said this week that I thought, John Harbaugh's never seen him play. Like, why is he an attachment to Lawrence at all? This trade made sense from that perspective where Harbaugh said, I don't know you, man. You got some more money. I haven't seen you play in person. I'm not paying you. We'll just ship you out. Like, is that a normal thing for a general manager to feel in that situation?
There's a difference between now. Are you asking general manager or head coach general manager? Because I think that's a real important distinction, Geoff. And that's the reason I believe there should be a GM to handle the money side, to handle the business side for the player. And the player should want that because the head coach is his biggest supporter in those situations when the general manager comes to the head coach and says, this is what we're asking. But when the head coach is in charge of the salary cap and signing all the players, it gets a little bit more difficult. And he looks at it from both sides now. So I still think that the Giants have people that will do that. I think Don Aponte is doing the contracts along with Joe Shane right now. And I think that it's really better to have a separation between head coach and the business part because you just have to have so much patience on the business part and realize that that's just how it goes sometimes.
So my thoughts on this trade for the Bengals perspective is that, to your point, they sort of need to do it, right? They have to make a play. It just feels risky, though, right now. I think it's fair to note that Dexter Lawrence is one of one. There's no one else like him. He's a nose tackle. He's over the center the entire game, and the pressure rate is astonishing, right? Like, it's incredible. He did only have half a sack last season, which, again, he's a nose tackle, so we're not going to hold that against him. Plus, we know sacks are not the be-all, end-all, but it does feel like they're hoping on the upside. As he gets older, he doesn't get injured. Injuries plagued him last season, Marty. I just feel like this is a risk for the Bengals, but a risk that they had to take to make their team as good as possible to make a run this season. But also it tells you as we get into the draft in a second, that they don't think at 10 they're getting a football player that can help them win now. I think that's the sort of theme of the draft as we get to that in just a quick second here. Like that's the Bengals didn't feel like they could get someone at 10 that could help them win immediately, and Lawrence helps them win immediately now. Before we get to draft, Marty, one last news note here, or two of them. Trent Williams got an extension for the Niners. I feel like that was going to happen. So we've talked about Trent Williams before. Just want to bring that out. If no one has seen that yet today, he stays with the Niners, adjust the cap number, all those things. And Adam Schefter reported that A.J. Brown most likely on his way to New England after June 1st, which is something that we've talked about on this show as well. Just any thoughts on those two transactions before we get into the draft?
Well, I think knowing that, especially for Philadelphia, so do the Eagles try to move up and get a wide receiver in the first round? That's gonna affect kinda what people think they're gonna do. Only Howie, Roseman knows definitely what they're gonna do, but he certainly hasn't been shy in trading up in drafts. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them trade up and, they're gonna at some point in this draft, they're targeting they would like to come out with a top 3 receiver at least.
So now it's time for the draft, Marty. I love doing mock drafts. They're hard. I like doing them. I like talking about the draft. And this draft for me is very unique because I think there is so much unknown. So much unknown. We know who's going one. When we do our mock draft, you'll have the second pick. I think we know we both agree, I think who's going two or should go two. I think we know who might go three, and then it's whatever. I have no idea. The trades this year are gonna be plentiful for a couple of reasons, right? One is the cost won't be as much as previous years because the players are not as good, right? So you move up in the first round, might not cost am I wrong on that, Marty? Might not cost as much this season as it would in a different season.
Yeah, I always every year, Jeff, we hear that there's gonna be a lot of trades and most of the time there's not. In this draft where there's really no clear answers, I think a lot of people will wanna trade up, but I don't know how many people are gonna feel secure enough with their list of players 5, 6, 7 picks behind them where they would be trading back um, to trade. So I think it's always easier to find a trade partner to move up than back. I'm going to be really interested in this, and I think a couple of the players that will have maybe something to do with it are Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs. In my opinion, they're two of the most talented players in this draft. If one of them starts to fall, then somebody I think is going to try to move up and get them. But Jeff, I'm not sure. I know teams are going to want to feel needs, and if the edge rushers are running out or the offense linemen, whatever, teams might feel like they want to move up. But who in this draft is going to have the security to move back and think that there's going to be 3 or 4 players there where that are going to help their football team? I don't know. That's going to be very interesting. Everybody always thinks there's going to be a lot of trades. There's always got to be 2 trade partners, and it might be hard finding ones that want to give up capital to move up.
So, is there a tipping point in this draft for you as we sort of begin to talk about this? Is there like a theme of this draft for you, something you're looking for early on in this draft that might tip you off on where things are going?
Yeah, I think and again, I do think, if the edge rushers fall 2, 3, where the edge rushers go, where Jeremiah Love goes is gonna be a very important kinda because that's gonna affect the rest of the picks, and it will affect if he's still there on the board at, say, 8 or 9, teams are gonna be getting calls. I don't think that's gonna happen. But I think that, there's so much question mark here, Jeff. You hit a good point that, okay, if somebody calls 3 picks behind me and I don't have to pay much, then okay, I'm ready to move back. But I mean to move up. But I don't know whether teams are going to be sold enough on players to move up. So I do think Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs are going to be keys to the top 10 as far as where they go if Caleb Downs does go in the top 10. And I think Carnell Tate's going to be interesting to watch. I think he's going to go there. And Ruben Bain's another guy that I think that seems like is moving back up on the boards because people are going back to the tape and seeing how good a football player is. So those players I think are going to be very interesting to see where they land.
Well, Marty, let's start this out. with our mock draft here. Again, you go to YouTube. These will all be archived. Their podcast platform of choice. The entire thing. Go back and grade us. Again, 32 for 32 is what we're trying. We're going to get 1 for 1 because the Raiders are going to draft Mendoza 1 overall here at quarterback, who has been the number one of one quarterback for months now. He feels like an immediate fit in what Vegas has done now for the offseason. Marty, they built the offensive lineup, right? They got Genty, they got Bowers, they got a good offensive coach. This feels like an easy pick. Walk up to the podium, hand that card to Goodell, no questions asked. Fernando Mendoza, you are a Las Vegas Raider.
Yes, and talent and timing. I mean, this year's quarterback class is not as strong or deep up top in the first round. He could be the only first-round quarterback that goes. We'll see what happens to Ty Simpson, but I just think that he is. Whenever you take a quarterback at number 1 overall, I experienced with Cam Newton. There were more nerves after we took him than before. And because I was positive that he was going to be a franchise quarterback. We did so much work, more work than anybody I've ever done work on. And then that name goes in there and you realize my career is at stake. That I have staked my career on this player. So it's some butterflies. But I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be a very good starter in this league. He's got the measurables. He's got the intangibles. Plays the game from the neck up. His feet are not quick. He's not quick-footed, but he is good enough inside the pocket to get away, and he's got vision and arm strength. So I really like this pick.
His movement skills in the pocket and his ability to run remind me of sort of how Patrick Mahomes describes his foot speed. He's quicker than the guy chasing him, right? Like that feels like with Mendoza, right? Like he doesn't get caught from behind very often. He's just quicker than the guy. He's just quicker than the guy chasing him. He's got very good into the pocket. People in Indiana loved his leadership, loved his tenacity. I think last year, Marty, in the big moments of the season, at Penn State, 2-minute drill touchdown. There's a pick at Oregon, comes back and scores on the next drive. Like just important moments for him were great. We'll talk about important moments for the New York Jets next on the clock. Pick number 2.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
All right, we're back here on the GM Shuffle, our mock draft. Mendoza, 1 overall for the Raiders. Marty, you have the Jets pick at number 2. Who are you taking?
Yeah, this was probably harder than it should have been, Geoff. And, for a long time, you saw Arvell Reese there as their pick, and he certainly could be their guy there. But I think, if you're there at 2, you're looking at 4 players to start. I'm looking at Bailey, Reese, Styles, and Downs. And I think at the end of the day, they canceled the visit with David Bailey, but we don't exactly know whether it was where they had all their information or whether the player had some other engagements or whatever it was. I don't think that was a sign that they were off David Bailey. I like him, 6'4", 250. Can get the outside shoulder, has a good change of direction, has good length, as I said, can run the arc, and has pretty good change of direction, short area change. I think he's probably the best pass rusher that is available on the board, and I think that's where the Jets go. David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech.
I agree with this pick because I think the Jets want a known commodity at pass rusher now, which is Bailey. Reese might be there at some point, Marty, right? As we know, dual threat guy, off the ball, linebacker, pass rusher. But like Bailey's the guy now. He's the pass rusher now. I think Jets opt for now. I have the Arizona Cardinals at 3. This feels like, Marty, with the draft, we get fairly interesting with trades. It's been known and reported the the Cardinals want to move back. Again, everyone wants to move back. Sort of is the theme. Who's moving up to 3? I think if Bailey is there, someone might move up to 3. Maybe someone moves up to 3 for Love. They need to have Jeremiah Love there. But we're sticking in our draft with no trades here. I'm going to take Reese here, Arvell Reese for Arizona for a couple reasons. One is I think he's the next best player on the board on defense outside of Bailey, right, Marty? And Arizona just needs good
Yeah.
football players. They do. They need good football players on defense, especially need guys who can rush the passer on defense. And I've made this point many, many times. I think if you draft a running back in the first round, you need to have the pieces in place for him to succeed. I'm not sure Arizona has that with their offensive line. I'm not sure they have that at quarterback either. Go get the best defensive player in Reese. That's who I would pick. That's who I'm picking for the mock draft. Arvell Reese for the Arizona Cardinals at pick number 3.
I agree with that pick. I was hoping that they would pick somebody else to make it easier for me. I think that the Titans draft room just went Rosie the May. They just put their shoulders down and
so if you're
and
Tennessee,
exhaled.
so if you were Tennessee and you're picking at 4, you want them to pick Reese or you want them to pick Love?
I think you want them. Well, I, I I just say this. I think with a defensive head coach, he's going to look for the pass rusher. So I think that they would probably have Reese over Love. I don't know that. Love would certainly be a tremendous pick for them here. And they with Reese off the board now, they're looking at Love, they're looking at Styles, they're looking at Bain, and they're still looking at Downs. And I think the trend here is just watch how many times we mention Downs and how many times he loses out ties. He's going to be a really interesting guy to track, in my opinion, Geoff. But I think it's between Ruben Bain, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love, and I had a really hard time on this one. Ruben Bain had been dropped because of the arm length, because of stuff. Teams went back to the tape last week, and really, I think he has started to really rise up. And Sonny Styles, to me, is probably the best defensive player on the board right now. At linebacker, he can blitz, he can run. And then you've got Jeremiah Love, who how much I think running backs can really set the tone for an offense. But I'm going to go with the defensive-minded head coach here. I'm going to go with Sonny Styles at 4 for the Titans.
So this makes a lot of sense, Marty. I've long made the case, and maybe you can back me up here. I don't think I ever brought this up to you. I think I have actually. That the first year with a new coach, you have to become really proficient in what that coach specializes in. So it's offense or defense, right? So if Robert Saleh is a defensive coach, in year 1 you fix the defense, in year 2 you fix the offense. We saw with Ben Johnson last year, right? Year 1 he fixed the offense. This year they're fixing the defense. The difference is that they have Cam Ward, right? So you can make the case that maybe you want to take the running back to help out Cam Ward. But with a defensive-minded head coach, leaning defense does feel very likely here. Styles goes number 4 to Tennessee, Marty. Does that make sense? Like as far as Saleh, fixing the defense first, but also with that consideration that maybe we might have to get some help for Cam Ward.
Yeah, it does. And the only twist there is how you look at a running back. As a defensive coaches used to love running backs, right? I mean, that they help your young quarterback, they keep your defense off the field. And how much do they think that Jeremiah Love will help Cam Ward and the defense at the same time? I would not be surprised to see them go with Jeremiah Love here. But I'm like you, Geoff. I just went with the theory that defensive head coach, he's going to want to get the defense the best he can, and Sonny Styles is the best option.
Yeah, I mean it's so funny that for years we've talked about the lack of quote unquote positional value in drafting an off the ball linebacker and running back anywhere near the top of this draft, and Sonny Styles going 4 off the ball linebacker. Reese can be an off the ball linebacker, right? He's going 3. And for my pick at 5 for the Giants, I'm going Jeremiah Love. I'm going running back 5, Marty.
Right.
Many reasons, right? One is that John Harbaugh has seen what a running back can do for his offense in Baltimore with Henry. He watched it happen. He watched how important that position was to finishing games. I think last year we saw too, really not last year, but with Derrick Henry, how much better the Ravens were at closing games up, because Derrick Henry's running the football late in games. He's running guys over, running for touchdowns late. Like that was an important part to this. You look at a young quarterback in Jackson Dart. How do we help him out? With a running back, right? With Jeremiah Love. And because they have a second pick in the first round, which is pick 10, Marty, they can take Love now And the way this is breaking out, you're ending up with a defensive player most likely at 10, a good defensive player, right? Like you have the ability to do that at 10. Maybe they feel the opposite is true and they go Caleb Downs here and try to maybe take Jordan Tyson at 10. I don't know. But think of Levis sitting here at 5. You have said this. Other people have said this, that he is the second or first just best overall player in this draft. I think Harbaugh goes with Jeremiah Love here at 5. What do you think about my pick?
I love it. I love it. And to me, you know what I think. After the quarterback who you separate, I think Jeremiah Love is the best player in this draft. And you look at John Harbaugh coming in. This is the first draft of John Harbaugh, the general manager. I mean, everybody knows this is his name is put on this player. And when you look at his history, Geoff, I mean, you mentioned Derrick Henry. He was with Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. So, if you look at the 3 players at that position, not that any of these players are those players that we mentioned, but I think Jeremiah Love really between Love and Downs, and we have Styles off the board, so he doesn't matter. But I think Jeremiah Love is probably the best non-quarterback in this draft, and I think that is a terrific pick to help the young quarterback.
Oh, I love it. Terrific pick. I love it. I love it. You like what you're hearing here on the GM Shuffle is even more VSiN Pro. Betting splits, power and sharp announced, all for $9.90 first month. Go to vsin.com. Check out all subscription options. Marty, I did this draft. We did this together, but I said this, I wanted you to pick some of these teams. I think they're so fascinating. Tennessee was one of them. The Jets was one, and Cleveland at 6, Marty, to me, is such a fascinating pick. Now, reports are that they're going to trade out or want to trade out of 6. As the draft breaks down the way it is now, I'm not even sure there's someone that teams are going to trade up for, but we're sticking with the Browns here. You have the Browns pick at 6, Marty. Wide receiver, offensive line, options here for the Browns. Who are you drafting for them?
Yeah, I think that their top needs offensive line, Geoff, and I think that's why they would be willing to move back, because I do think a run on the offensive lineman comes from 11 to 20, right? And there are a lot of varying opinions on offensive linemen in this draft. I mean, honestly, my top guy is Monroe Freeling, and he is probably 4th or 5th on a lot of other people's boards. So I just think that this is a perfect spot to trade back if they can find a partner. Again, Caleb Downs is still on the board, and I don't know, Geoff. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm messed up, but I just think that he was one of the top 5 players in this draft, just a pure football player. And if somebody likes him, they could try to trade up to the Browns. But I don't think. I'm just going to assume that they have no time to trade back, and I'm going to go with who I think is the best left tackle in the draft, and that's going to be Freeling from Georgia.
So he is to me the biggest potential for success at left tackle out of all of them. So I do think that this makes sense if you want a pure left tackle. I will say I keep hearing they like Caden Proctor. That would be early at 6. It would be unlike
that was 50-50, Geoff. That's
they like Proctor a lot. I'd be a very rich man if Caden Proctor went 6 overall, because I heard about that like 2 months ago, and so I'm hoping that plays out. Again, the inside information you get is very minimal, but sometimes you get it every now and then. Just holistically for the Browns, Marty, pick 6, pick 24. We'll do 24 our next episode on Wednesday. Can you double up on offensive linemen? Is it that dire, or do you go wide receiver at 24? Like, just holistically for the Browns, who have 2 first-round picks. If they trade back, they might get extra picks as well. Are you leaving with 2 offensive players? Is that the plan, you think?
Yes, 2 offensive players and the 2 best offensive players on the board when you pick. And if it's 2 offensive linemen, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not sexy first round, but you've made your team a lot better. So, I think that, and then if they trade back at 6, they can get more picks. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. I do like Proctor. They're an analytics team. They're going to take a pure tackle. Freeling and Proctor are the 2 best pure tackles to me in this draft. I think Maui Noah could be more of a guard. So I do think it's one of those 2 players, and I really struggled. I went with Freeling, but I could see Proctor as well.
So with the analytics, you think they just go Freeling?
Left tackles. Left tackles. Pure tackles are
pure tackle,
they don't draft guards this early. A guard
So
would
that
not be
would be
drafted.
Freeling. The Freeling would be
Yes.
the first pure left
Yes.
tackle on the board if the Browns go in that direction. We'll be back next with the Commanders pick at 7. We'll go through 7 all the way through 16. Next, the GM Show presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
We're back here on our mock draft, going through all the different picks in order here of what we would do, what we would like to do. I mean, not we hope it ends up being correct, but this is what we would do on our show here. Pick number 7 here is the Washington Commanders, Marty. This is where I think I'm going to veer a little bit from consensus for a couple reasons, but most importantly, I think Caleb Downs fits what the Commanders want at number 7, Marty. Let me give you a couple explanations why. One, Dan Quinn's a defensive coach. Defense was atrocious last season. All right. He also said this offseason, Marty, that he wants to move the green dot, which is a dot on the back of the helmet that signifies the player who gets radioed in the call, right? So quarterback has a green dot. On defense, it's typically the linebacker. Dan Quinn said he wants it to be the players on the field the most. Who's that going to be? Caleb Downs. Be in the field. He'll be on the field the most of any player on that defense. I got Caleb Downs, Marty. I think Caleb Downs goes 7. I know that you might think he dropped. Certainly possible here. I think Washington would love if Sonny Styles was here. He's not. They could certainly go Tate at 8. 7. That wouldn't surprise me here if they went that direction. But I think it's a deep wide receiver group that they can possibly get someone in round 2 or 3 that fits what they need. You're not finding another Caleb Downs, Marty, in this draft. So this would be probably surprising for a lot of people to have Downs here at 7. But I think that this is what they would do if the draft breaks out in this way. A defensive coach gets a defensive stud. Downs, by the way, on DraftKings right now, 8.5 to 1 to be the 7th pick overall. Marty, what do you think about my pick of Downs here to the Commanders?
Well, I mean, we said I think Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs, the two, safest all-round football players in this draft after the quarterback, and I think it's a great pick, and I think that somebody's going to do that, Geoff. He's too good a player to keep sliding, and he is the best player on the board right now for us. And you're right. I think Sonny Styles would have been a perfect fit. The only other person I think that there will be discussions. Obviously, you mentioned the wide receiver. I think they still need an edge rusher. And listen, I've talked to some people. Reuben Bain is really starting to come up some boards. I don't know how Washington feels, but I think he's too good a pass rusher right now. You go back on the tape. The arm length discussion was everybody had him sliding, including myself. But I really think he's worked his way back. So I love the Caleb Downs pick. I think it's a great pick. If they don't do that, I think you look to either Reuben Bain or Carnell Tate or one of those other options to fill needs. So they will have a very good player on the board at 7. I think that some people think that Jeremiah Love's going to be there. Sonny Styles, they're going to have a really good option here, Geoff. And if Styles and Love are gone, I think the Caleb Downs is a great pick.
So Downs to 7 to the Commanders. The New Orleans Saints, I should say, sitting here at 8. Marty, this feels like one pick only if the draft breaks out at 8. I'm curious if you're going to do it.
Yeah. They need an edge rusher. They need an edge rusher. They wide receiver they could use for the quarterback, and you're looking at they could use a corner. I mean, to me, I'm struggling between Reuben Bain, Carnell Tate, and I'm going to throw a surprise in here and take him. I'm going to take Mansour Delane, the corner from LSU.
I don't think it's a surprise. I think that those are the 3 choices, right? Wide receiver, corner, or pass rusher. And they need all 3 of those guys. And you just take, this is why you do the grades, right? It's why you have a draft board, or you just pick the best guy on your board at this point, right? If Delane's the best guy on your board, you take him, right? I'm not wrong in that thought process, I don't think.
Not at all, and there is a gap in my mind, Jeff, between him and the other corners, so I think you have to step up and take them quick because I do think the corners are gonna run here anywhere from, 15 to 12, 15 to 30.
What an interesting draft so far. Wow. Kansas City's at 9. It's like Kansas City's at 9, right? I have the Chiefs pick, and I basically have the option of the pass rusher or the wide receiver, right? I got Tate or Bain. Those are my
Right.
choices. Um, wow, what interesting draft. And I also have pick 29 as well. Um, I I I think I would go Ruben Bain here, Marty, because I don't think I'm going to get a pass rusher 29 that's Ruben Bain's quality. I can probably get a wide receiver at 29 or a cornerback at 29 that makes sense here. And I'm not getting a pass rusher like Bain in 29. So I'm taking Ruben Bain here for ninth pick in the draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, which the fascinating part about this pick isn't that I took Bain, it's that Cardinal Tate's still available at 10. I think it's shocking for anyone that's
Right.
watched a mock draft. And probably not going 10, by the way. It's certainly possible he can, but the Giants will pick them next, Marty. What do you think about my idea behind the Ruben Bain pick now over waiting for maybe a pass rusher 29 or wide receiver? I think this is the you're not getting another Ruben Bain at 29. You can find a wide receiver or a cornerback at 29, I think that's serviceable. So I go Ruben Bain here, Chiefs pick 9.
Yeah, I always think the pass rusher over the wide receiver this high, Jeff. I think there will be more wide receiver options than pass rushers, and I think that's the perfect pick for the Chiefs. So now you go to the Giants, right? And you mentioned that Cardinal Tate is on the board. The guard tackle from Miami, Maui Noah, is still on the board.
Yeah.
And I had Downs down for them as a possibility, but he is gone. So I think you kind of made this one's probably easy. They could go lineman, but I really think that Carnell Tate is a Giants type receiver. He's a big target. He separates. He gets open. 4.54 the 40. Don't freak out about the 40. That's plenty fast. He knows how to get open. He knows how to separate. He knows how to position his body. I think he's a really good receiver coming out of college. It just has been a wide receiver factory. I would take Carnell Tate for the Giants at number 10.
Yeah, I thought the Giants, I said this earlier, would end up with one offensive player, one defensive player in this draft, but this is not going to happen if the defensive players that we like for them are gone, right? I mean, essentially Downs
Right.
and Styles, right? I mean, Downs and Styles dropped all the way down to 10. I think they would love to take a defensive guy, but now you got two weapons for your young quarterback, right? In Dart, you have Tate and you have Love. Quickly, Tate has been a big favorite to be the first wide receiver taken overall. Marty. Jordan Tyson had a good workout last week, and now all of a sudden he's like a top 10 pick. I mean, it's kind of crazy how it worked. He was like off the board, it felt like 2 months ago. And now all of a sudden he's potentially a top wide receiver, a top 10 pick. I mean, DraftKings has him as the favorite to go 8 overall now, plus 290. So thoughts on just Tyson in general and the process of him moving back up the boards and whether or not he has a chance to go ahead of Tate.
Well, I think everybody, I think you would get very spirited discussion about who the best player would be, the best wide receiver.
I think it's
Um,
Tyson if he's healthy.
if he's healthy. But that's the whole reason we're talking about this, I think, is because there are questions about the injury. So how high are you going to take him? But I think we're going to see him more in the 11 to 16, 16 to 20 range because he is very talented. But you just have to the medical questions. People have to feel very comfortable with that, and if they do, shoot, he could go higher. He could go at 10, but I think that there's enough questions where he's going to fall. Not too much, but he's going to be between the 11 and 20 range, I would think.
So our top 10 is this. Fernando Mendoza 1, David Bailey 2, Arvell Reese 3, Sonny Styles 4, Jeremiah Love 5, Monroe Freeling 6, Caleb Downs 7, Mansour Delane 8, Ruben Bain 9, Carnell Tate 10. According to DraftKings, Marty, for top 10 pick odds, okay? Geez, the Jordan Tyson, they're minus 370. Insane. That's way too high. But the one player that feels left out of this top 10 pick is Maunoga, minus 280 to be a top 10 pick. He feels like when you look at this top 10 here, he's like the one guy missing that I feel like consensusly, whatever, that's not even a word, consensus has him as a top 10 pick. He's not in the top 10 in our mock draft.
No, and he is a really good player, but this the deal, Geoff. And again, it comes into play with analytics, and he could very well go at 6 to the Browns, but I don't know. He's a very physical, strong, efficient lineman who has slight stiffness, I think. I don't think he's got the athletic ability that you want to put him at left tackle. So now he's a right tackle or a guard. So where does that value go? And I think that right now we're getting to the point where his talent is over exceeds whatever you think about the position. And this is an area that he's going to go. He's not going to be on the board long.
I'm gonna do one more draft pick before we get to our next break here, Marty. I have the Miami Dolphins, and guess what? Francis Maunoga, come on down. You're a Miami Dolphin. I just think the Dolphins need to add the best offensive lineman at this spot. I think they would have loved to draft Tate here. He's not available. Give me the best offensive lineman on the board right now. And look, you could figure out his spot later, whether it's tackle, whether it ends up being guard, which again, to our point about offensive linemen in this class, they might be guard, they might be tackle, right? I think that's why you might see a team like the Browns opt for a true left tackle, right? A premium type position, even though right tackle is super important. We know that. I think you draft Maunoga here and you figure out whether he plays guard or tackle. How do we feel about this draft pick for me, Marty?
I love it. And you just killed the Cowboys draft room because they all doubled over when that pick came up. So because I do think that with the players, the defense players off the board, I think that he was the guy that Dallas could have been interested in as well. So I love the pick. I think he's a really good football player. You're going to find a spot for him, and he's going to start for you for the next 10 to 12 years if you can keep him under contract.
I think for the Dolphins, you just sort of take the best. Again, there's a philosophy in the NFL now about offensive line that's more about the group of five, rather than one stud or two studs and three mega guys. So he adds that group of five, or he makes that group of five better. Makes a lot of sense again for him to be the 11th pick overall. That would be, according to DraftKings right now, 5.5 to 1 to be the number 11th pick in the draft. You go check out all those numbers. They got a lot of odds up already on DraftKings. We'll be back to finish the rest of our mock draft today. Next is represented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
All right, Marty, we're back here. Picks 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 are due for our top half of the mock draft here. This is where the draft gets hard, Marty. Dallas is at 12. They have not made a trade. We're not doing trades. And everyone they want, I believe, is gone. So they're sitting here at 12, Marty. Yes. No trades. What are the Cowboys doing at 12 if it plays out the way our draft has played out so far?
If they're happy with the medical and Jermon McCoy, the corner from Tennessee, they take him.
Okay.
If not, I think they try to trade back. And if they can't do either of them, I honestly think that, taking an offensive lineman is probably smart here. You had Proctor off the board. And I had Freeling off the board. Right,
yeah,
or Proctor's on the board.
Yeah.
Proctor's on the board.
On the board, so yes.
And that's where I'm going to go. He's again, people, you got to be comfortable with his play demeanor and his ability to manage his weight. But I'm going to go with the best offensive lineman on the board and go with Caden Proctor for him. And they will try very hard to trade back because defensive players just isn't there for him right now, Geoff.
So the Cowboys, we like to sort of make fun of them. They're easy target, right, with their owner and whatnot, and how they've done player personnel decisions in the past. I will tell you though, the best thing they do, Marty, is every offensive lineman they draft in the first round ends up being very good. Their first round hit rate for offensive linemen is insane. Think about Tyler Smith now, right? You think about Booker, who's playing well as a young football player. You think about Zach Martin and Travis Frederick and Teron Smith. Like they've hit home runs in the first round. So if they like an offensive lineman this early in the first round and ends up being a Caden Proctor, then it tells you they liked him. 10-1, by the way, to be the 12th pick in the draft here for the Dallas Cowboys. So Caden Proctor off the board. Then you do worry about the weight. That seems, that's a concern, obviously. But I'll tell you what, Marty, I don't know if you've ever seen him in person before. Largest legs I've ever seen in my life. Just like an
Yep.
incredibly huge, large human. He'll actually touch the ball less. He got like passes thrown to him in Alabama, kind of interesting. But off the board here, I got the Dolphins here. The Rams, I should say, at 13 here, Marty. It's a wide receiver. I'm going to ask you the question here. All right. I think Jordan Tyson is better than Lemon, the wide receiver
Yes.
from USC. I think that's a no-brainer. The question is, I've never evaluated anyone for medicals before. Okay. I know he had a good pro day, did Tyson. I know he appears healthy. How much do the medicals bother you? And would you take Lemon over Tyson for that reason?
Um, yes. Yes, I would always go clean, and I think the town is close enough that I probably would take, Lemon over Tyson. Again, this is something you have to get in the room with your doctors and your trainer, and the Rams also have a very good trainer, Reggie Scott. He was with us under Ryan
Yes.
Vermillion at the Panthers, and he's a tremendous trainer as well. He was taught by the best, in my opinion, and he's one of the best now, and that's who you rely on, you rely on him and your doctors and what they say and what they tell you, but I think you probably would be more apt to go safe, and go with Lemon over Tyson. But Tyson, I think everybody agrees, could be the most talented wide receiver in this draft.
So I will do that. I will take Lemon here at a USC. His comp um, is Amon St. Brown, but Makai Lemon is not Amon St. Brown. So I don't I get it. They're not the same player, but Lemon is a fantastic catcher of the football. He is a good route runner. He's a good football player, and so he fits with the Rams need. The Rams need a wide receiver. Their number one wideout right now is in rehab. Marty, the second wideout's like 35 years old, so you need wide receiver. So Makai Lemon, you are a Ram. You stay in Los Angeles. Marty, the Baltimore Ravens at 14. They are on the board now. You have 8 minutes now, Marty. You used to have 15 minutes. You got 8 minutes now to make your pick. You only have about 30 seconds here in our show. Let's go with the Baltimore Ravens here, Marty, for yourself.
Yeah, and this is the first draft without John Harbaugh in a long time, and I think this is a team that again, um, does not shy away from offensive linemen. They wanna keep that physical demeanor that they have. With the defensive head coach, certainly you're looking at defensive players, but to me, I think the best player on the board right now um, is Vega Ioane
Hurney.
from Penn
Yeah.
State, the guard. I think he's a really good player. He's physical. He fits what Baltimore wants to be about. And I think that Ozzie Newsome, Eric DeCosta have done a very good job of hitting on the safe guy. Yeah, they hit most a high percentage of these kind of picks. So I think they want to get back to being a physical team, physical on offense, running the football, and I think this guy is a perfect fit for them at guard.
It makes a ton of sense. Vega to me is the cleanest prospect from this position in the draft for offensive line. He's gonna be good immediately. The other guys we talked to nauseam about this. I don't want to repeat myself, but just not the other offensive linemen have issues to work on. Vega's good immediately, Marty, and Baltimore needs their offensive line to be better for them to do what they need for Lamar and to win at the rate they want to win at. They got holes at guard. Makes a ton of sense to bring him in there. Um, yeah, and just sort of stabilize your offensive line. I love Vega. I love his film. Makes sense. I know that the Giants might consider him at 10, Marty, as well.
Right.
If they have the option there at 10 to draft Vega, it's certainly possible depending on how the draft breaks down. That would be a huge, that'd be I think something that's not expected if Vega goes 10
Right.
overall, but a
Right.
possibility there. But Dolphins maybe just want a guard, and Vega's there at 11 either. I mean, Vega has a chance to go 12. I mean, it does feel like 10 to 14 is Vega's range if you want to make a wager on sort of where a player possibly could go. If you look at DraftKings right now, his number is 14 and a half. So that's right. We're right. We're thinking the same thing. 10 to 14 for Vega. I have the next pick, Marty. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Um, I know what I want to do, but I'm kind of going to ask you just a question about Messidor and his age here. Is that a real concern that he won't basically get to a second contract until near 30 years old? Because I think he's the best pass rusher still available on the board, and I actually don't think it's fairly close. But he's old, man. Like how much does that matter to Tampa Bay? I mean, they're sort of in win now mode. He's the best player right now to help him win now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it depends on the organization, but I don't think that Jason Lott and Todd Bowles care if he's 25 or not. They're going to take the best players, so I don't think that that's an issue. We took Chris Wenke in the fourth round as a quarterback, and he was older, and it does matter to. It probably matters more to personnel people than to coaches. But, as far as shoot, age now, I mean, you don't know whether you're gonna keep the guy if he's first round pick, you got him for 5 years, and you don't know how you're gonna keep him after that. So I don't think it really would deter them from taking a player because he's 25.
I will take Messidor with the 15th pick of the draft. I think he is a match for what Todd Bowles wants to do defensively. They need pass rusher, and if we're in win now mode, which they certainly are, right, with Todd Bowles essentially looking at his job status entering this season and on that hot seat, I think Messidor fits what they need to do on defense. So give me Messidor from Miami, pass rusher here at pick 15. Last one of the draft, Marty, of our draft for today. New York Jets via the Colts, pick 16, Marty. Um, I think I know what you're going to do. I'm curious if you're going to take the player. I think you are.
I don't know whether you know what I'm gonna do because I'm not sure I know what I'm gonna do because, um, I tell you that I think this pick is traded, okay? I mean, I think what happens is I think this pick is traded back to somebody that's gonna move up and take an offensive lineman, and,
Oh, okay.
the Jets are gonna move back, okay? But if the Jets are stuck here and cannot trade back, it's gonna be interesting to see kinda what they do. It's if they filled their edge, they still need inside help. They need linebacker help, but they really need O line help, right? So um, I, I I'm struggling here, Jeff, because I think that um, they obviously have to have a player that if they can't trade back, is this a spot that you take a shot at Jermon McCoy? Um, Even though, there are injury questions for him. Um, I could see that happening. And probably rather than the lineman, I'm gonna go with Jermon McCoy for them.
Jamal McCoy, I did not have a cornerback for you. I thought Jordan Tyson was going to be the guy, Marty. I thought Jordan Tyson was going to be the guy here for the Jets at 16 to help out a eventual, eventual quarterback. Is this a Ty Simpson spot, Marty, at 16?
Could be, could be. I mean, for them, it could be. I couldn't do it because I wouldn't take them in the first round. But yes, it could be. Or they could trade back. I'm telling you, I would be shocked if this pick was not traded back. I would be shocked.
One of my favorite wagers still available is over 1.5 quarterbacks in the first round. It's still at a good price. I think Tyson deals the first round. Might be not here at 16 to the Jets, but
Right.
somewhere. Very quickly, Marty. Mendoza 1, Bailey 2, Reese 3, Styles 4, Love 5, Freeling 6, Down 7, Delane 8, Bain Jr. 9, Tate 10, Mawanoga 11, Proctor 12, Lemon 13, Ione 14. It's Ione, right? I think I have that right. Vega
Ioane.
and 15
Ioane.
Messidor and then 16 here McCoy for the Jets. Any last words about our first 16 picks, Marty?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be really interesting to see. Teams have to be on the same page. There's going to be misses. There's this is a hard draft, and you really have to eliminate the errors and go with the safe picks, I think.
It'll be a fun draft. Whether it's fun for I feel like this is one of those drafts where you just the heart palpitations would be hard. It'd be rough. It's going to be rough for you in the room. But we're not in the room. We'll be back on Wednesday, guys. 17. We pick 32. We'll finish up our mock draft. Talk to you guys Wednesday. Take care, everybody.